So, this is Charitamrita Madhya-lila, and we are reading from 23rd chapter, 53rd verse. I just want to settle down and then I have to speak on. I'll just give Mangalacharan to Srila Prabhupada. I think I should read more verses because there's no purport here.
Yes.
Good idea. Yeah. So next verse I'm reading. शांत रस शांति रति प्रेम पर्यंत होए दास्य रति राग पर्यंत क्रमते बढ़ाए. The position, I'll read purport after this. साखे वात्सल्ये रति पाए अनुराग सीमा सुबाल्यादेर प्रभाव पर्यंत प्रेमेर महिमा. Now there's a purport for this. And I'll read from 53 and then purport and translation on this. There are 5 transcendental mellows: neutrality, servitorship, friendship, parental affection, and conjugal love, which is also known as the mellows of sweetness. Conjugal love excels all others. The position of neutrality increases up to the point where one can appreciate love of Godhead. The mellows of servitorship gradually increase to the point of spontaneous love of God. After the mellows of servitorship, there are mellows of friendship, parental love, which increase to subordinate spontaneous love. The greatness of the love is found in friends like Subal extends to the standard of ecstatic love of God. So, Srila Prabhupada writes, the purport Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada says that the mellow of neutrality increases to simple love of God. In the mellows of servitorship, love of God increases beyond that to affection, counter love, anger based on love and attachment. Similarly, the mellow of friendship increases to affection, counter love, attachment, and self-attachment. It is the same with mellows of parental affection. The special feature of mellows of friendship exhibited by personalities like Subal is that it increases from fraternal affection to counter love, to spontaneous attachment, to subordinate attachment, finally to the ecstasy where all ecstatic symptoms continuously exist. So, we are discussing Madhya-lila, 23rd chapter, 53 verse onwards. Okay, I'll just offer obeisances. Namam Vishnu Padaya Krishna Consciousness Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Namaste Saraswati Devi Guruvani Pracharine Nirvishesh Shunyavadi Paschamishta. Okay, so here I think this is the life's ultimate goal, love of Godhead. And this is a beautiful verse here. Actually, these verses which talks about the mellows of devotional service. And well, these are like complex verses because these are talking about mellows, and of course most of us don't have any idea of mellows. We have a theoretical idea, but as far as realizations and swanubhuti goes, and none of us has, because rasa is a very technical term. Now this verse says 23:53. It says Panchavidha ras shan dasya sakhe vatsalya. This word rasa, this is a very I think this is a word on which Gaudiya Vaishnava philosophy is based upon, because all important treatises, devotional books actually focus on this. In fact, especially Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya, Madhva Sampradaya and Ramanuja Sampradaya, they are focusing. They have focused more on liberation. This word rasa is not to be found much in their works. Actually, it is not to be found. It's not there in their works. Maybe somewhere, 1 or 2 places, but it's not there. Unlike our Gaudiya Vaishnavas, where after every 5 lines, especially if you read Sanskrit commentaries, this word is repeated again and again. Chaitanya Charitamrita here. Again, without this word rasa, Gaudiya Vaishnavism doesn't exist. That's how important this word is. But if you read Madhva Ramanuja, this word doesn't exist in the commentary. The word which comes is moksha. The word which comes is ananda. And that's it. maybe in Sri Vaishnava Sampradaya, Divya Prabandhas, they might be having this word rasa. That's in Tamil, so I don't know about it in English. But I can imagine it might be having this word rasa. But at the same time, I can also imagine this word not explicitly mentioned even in Divya Prabandhas, because this word is very unique to our Sampradaya. What about Nimbarka Sampradaya? Nimbarka Sampradaya, definitely, this is all based on this word rasa again. But they have also emphasized on moksha. But especially, and then what about Vallabha Sampradaya? Vallabha Sampradaya talks about rasa, but they have used the word rag more than rasa. So the point I am telling is emphasizing that this word is very important, especially the Gaudiya Vaishnavism. Now the question is why? Because for us, God is not God because He's all powerful. We don't look up to Krishna like that because He's all powerful. He's God. No. For us, Krishna is the supreme enjoyer. That's why He is worshipable for us. And that means He is Rasik Shekhar. And that's where Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu starts. He is Rasik Shekhar. And you see the point, to call God as Rasik Shekhar, that means who is the enjoyer of all mellows. That requires a very depth or deep level of maturity and devotion, because what ultimately we are saying is that Krishna is the ultimate enjoyer and we are to be enjoyed, and He enjoys us and we are not to be the enjoyer. Now for that you need to be actually absolutely free of lust or sense enjoying tendency, to actually appreciate God in that capacity. You can appreciate God in the capacity of God without actually leaving all kind of sense gratification. Without doing that, you can appreciate Krishna as God. Even non-devotees, if you tell them Krishna is God, they can appreciate the concept of God. Especially the concept of God related to all-powerful, the Almighty. They can do that. Even people who are Karamkandis, who have absolutely screwed up philosophy, they can appreciate Krishna as God. Okay, He's God, yeah. God is supremely powerful. We can understand that. But to appreciate God as Akhil Rasamrita Murti, Akhil Rasik Shekhar, what this verse is talking about, to appreciate that, you have to be free of all kind of sense gratificatory tendencies, because you are saying this person is the supreme enjoyer and we are not supposed to enjoy, we are to be enjoyed by Him. Now people don't like this concept. People don't like this concept that I should be enjoyed. People like the concept I am the enjoyer. And that's why this concept, that's why Gaudiya Vaishnavism is the highest apex, the highest limit of mysticism, if you will, if you want to say like that. It is a mystic philosophy where absolute change of consciousness is required from absolute submission to absolute absolute submission to absolute. You have to turn your mind upside down to understand this word rasa. Now, this word rasa, when we talk about this word rasa now let's come to this, because this is the topic. I was giving a preamble about how important this word rasa is. But what is this word rasa? Now, this word rasa means, actually, in simple words, it means, Prabhupada translates as mellows or juice. That's how it goes. Srimad Bhagavatam begins with this word. Pibatam Bhagavatam Rasamalayam. Drink the rasa of Srimad Bhagavatam. Now, rasa means sweetness. Juice and mellows mean sweetness. And that this word conveys sweetness. God is sweet. So we were just singing this song, Adharam Adharam. God is sweet and His devotion is sweet. That's why this word rasa is used here. But the whole point is, Srila Prabhupada also mentions, and Jiva Goswami also mentions in Nectar of Devotion, that this word rasa is a very technical term. It's nothing to do with ordinary mundane sentiments. Now, how do we get this juice? How do we get this? How do we get this mellows? Now, Jiva Goswami mentions, Prabhupada mentions in Nectar of Devotion, that first we cross our all mundane disqualifications or anarthas. Then we go to level of attachment. Then we advance to the level of bhava. And then we actually attain love of God. And then when you attain prema, and when you are in love of God, then when you interact with God, and God means Krishna, let's use the word Krishna, and Krishna interacts with you, at that time, when the interaction occurs in love from both sides, at that time rasa is produced. So it's not a one-way. Rasa is never a monologue. Okay, I like Krishna, so I'm feeling rasa. No, that's wrong. Rasa is a dialogue between God and his devotee. Or if you say mysticism, between bride and the bridegroom. That's how mystics like to put it as. That's interaction between the bride and the bridegroom, where bridegroom is Krishna and the bride is all of us. And he's simply enjoying us, and we are trying to make him enjoy. And that interaction will produce some sentiments. And the birth of the sentiments occur from love, or priti, but Jiva Goswami uses it in Santa, from love. And that we call as rasa. So if you say, well, I'm experiencing rasa, no, you can't do. Without love, you can't do. Any interaction between any two persons, or God and devotee, without love, will not produce rasa. It will produce, it might produce some kind of shadow of sentiments for rasa, but it can never do. It cannot produce rasa. It's impossible. Without love of God, there's no rasa. Just like without mangoes, there is no mango juice, isn't it? Or if you love somebody, then you like to talk with him, isn't it? Then you like your conversation with that person. If you don't love somebody, then you don't really like to have conversation with somebody. Or if you just like another person and you don't love him, you like to talk to him, but you don't really become ecstatic. But if you're talking to your girlfriend or your wife, whom you are in deeply love, with them there is certain bliss, and that bliss is called rasa. So the foundation of this word rasa is love. Now, how many types of rasas are there? Now, well, here the question comes, then why we are discussing about rasa? Well, the whole idea of this chapter is the ultimate goal of life. This is prayojan. We are discussing the goal. And it's good to discuss about goal because Bhaktivedanta says, Chaitanya Charitamrita says, what's that? Iya lage sudhira manas. Siddhan chitte na koryalas. Siddhan mulya chitte na koryalas. Iya lage Krishna sudhira manas. Don't be so lazy in talking about philosophy. And philosophy really starts with the goal first. And then we define the path. So don't be lazy about talking about the philosophy or the goal of life. Having this philosophy helps you to know the goal of life, isn't it? Just like if you meet one person and you ask him, well, what's the aim of your life? And he might say, I don't really understand your question. He might say, well, my aim of life is to earn money, to have a career. But then he will repeat your question, what's the aim of your life? He says, I don't understand your question. Then you actually reiterate your question. You speak the question in some different way. And you ask him, okay, tell me, what's the philosophy of your life? And then he might start thinking, oh yeah, now I understand. They're not talking about money or career, they're talking about the philosophy of my life. And that's why the real purpose of philosophy is to define your goal or aim first. And that's what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is discussing all these things. Like, for example, if you discuss, so for example, if you say, the goal of my life is to drink the best quality of milk, which has the smell of rose, which has the smell of lilies, which has the smell of vanilla in it, and which is a taste of let's say camphor and kesar mixed, and that kind of milk is a goal of our life. I want that kind of milk and drink it. And then when you start discussing about that milk, or that milk, when we taste, so that milk, when anybody tastes, he will immediately start salivating. And only by the smell of that milk you will become unconscious. And as soon as you take the sip of that milk, you will go in bliss. If you keep on hearing about that kind of milk, you will develop a desire to actually find about it and get it. That's all, isn't it? So the goal is discussed to develop a desire to get that goal. That's the whole point. Shushruvi tatakshanat, Bhagavatam says. Shushruvi tatakshanat. When anybody has a desire to hear about Krishna, immediately he is on the path of liberation. Just desire to hear about Krishna. But the whole question is, how do you develop the desire to hear about Krishna? The answer is by hearing about Krishna. That's all. Simple. So that's why, how do you get a desire to attain sweet mellows of devotion? The answer is by hearing about sweet mellows of devotion. That's what Chaitanya is discussing. So Mahaprabhu is discussing Panchveda Rasa Shan Dasya 𝗪𝗲𝗪𝗲 Vatsalya. Chaitanya is discussing the 5 transcendental mellows. There are 5 mellows, not just one. And you see the point. That means in 5 ways we can interact with God. When we are in love with God. When you are not in love with God, you can interact with Him only in just one way. That is called Dasya, as a servant. And that too, we have a shadow of that Dasya. It's not really the real essence of Dasya. We have some kind of understanding, we have some kind of faith in servitude by actually watching our predecessors, acharyas. Okay, they served, so I should serve. It's that kind of thing. But that servitude is not really inside us, or actually it's born of our own soul. But whatever it is, without love of God, only possible rasa, whether real or whether shadow, whatever, it's just Dasya. Without love of God, Madhurya, Sakesh, is Vatsalya are not possible. And you see that it's so important to understand this. If you really understand this, then you cannot become Sahajya. You cannot enter upper sampradayas. Because Sahajya says, I am Gopi and I have Madhurya Rasa. But then the whole point is, we understand without love of God, Rasa is not possible, first of all. And even, let us say for theoretical sake, it is possible. Then only Dasya Rasa is possible. That's all. Without love. Why? Because without love of God, Krishna will not interact with you so closely. He will only interact with you as a master, and you be as a servant. And that makes a lot of sense, isn't it? Your boss will never interact with you like a friend, like a school friend. He will never do. He will act as a boss. He will act as a servant. He might act as a good boss. He might act as a friendly boss. But he will never act like a friend. That is a different story. For him, his friend is his schoolmates, his classmates, outside the company. With employees, that doesn't happen. So there the relationship is restricted to Dasya, to servitorship. Because employees and boss, they don't have a loving relationship. That simply doesn't happen. The fact they're employee, the fact there is pay, they're getting something in lieu of their service, that fact immediately destroys love. So they cannot be love. So they cannot be Sakhiras, they cannot be Vatsalya, of course they cannot be Madhurya. You can be Madhurya with your boss. You can be if she's a female or something, but but you can't be like that. But anyway, the whole point is you can't be in Madhya Rasa. Sakhya Vatsalya. Only Dasya. So that's a very important thing to understand, first of all. Without love of God, only Dasya is. And that too just a shadow. But with love of God, there are 5 kinds of interaction. Krishna will want to interact with you if you love him. He wants to come closer to you if you love him. If you don't love him, he will not come close to you. His mercy might come close to you. And it will. But his personality, he will not come close to you. Because you don't love him. He loves you. But at the same time, if he comes close to you and if you don't love him, then you might become familiar to him, and then familiarity brings contempt, isn't it? But you see his friends, Krishna's friends, Madhu Mangal, Subal. Now the word Subal, Subal comes in the 55th verse. Subal, if you see him, so what they say about Subal? Yeah, it's the greatness of love found in friends like Subal. Subal is a very dear friend of Krishna, and why his name is mentioned here in the 55th verse, Subal? Because Subal is the brother of Srimati Radharani. Now, and her features are also exactly same like Radharani. I mean, if you see Subal, you might confuse him to be Radha if he wears sari. And suppose if he does makeup like Radha, then we'll get confused. That's how Subal is so dear to Radha, but at the same time, and his brother, her brother, by the same time, he's a Priya Narma Sakha of Krishna. That means he's a very intimate. So he's in the intimate circle of the friends of Krishna. The friends of Krishna are divided into various circles: outside circle, inner circle, and intimate circle. And he's in the intimate circle, where these kind of friends can discuss with Krishna about Madhya Rasa, about his relationship with gopis. Friends in the outside circle, they cannot discuss about Krishna's relationship with gopis. Only they can discuss, like Madhu Mangal and Subal and all these people. So, they are there. And what I was telling is that these friends, they joke with Krishna, they climb his shoulders, and they sometimes abuse him. Now, well, you might be thinking what's happening around. But the whole point is, in spite of doing, Krishna interacts with them like this. Why? Because they never lose respect for him. That doesn't happen. In spite of doing all these kind of frivolous activities, and they even beat Krishna. In spite of doing all these things, they clearly understand, and they never forget, we are his servants. And the only purpose of our lives is to give him enjoyment, is to give him rasa. And they understand only by giving him rasa, we can also attain rasa. That's how Prabhupada says in Elevation of Krishna Consciousness. If you want to enjoy with God. If you want to enjoy, give enjoyment to God. If you want, Sukadeva Goswami says, if you decorate your image in the mirror, it's the other way around. If you decorate yourself in the mirror, your image gets decorated, isn't it? Similarly, if you give enjoyment to Krishna, Krishna's image are we, isn't it? Man is made in the image of God. If you decorate Krishna, if you give him enjoyment, you get enjoyment because you are his image. Just like if you decorate yourself in the mirror, your image or reflection, it gets decorated itself. So we are a reflection and image of Krishna. So Madhva calls, in technical term, we are bimba of Krishna. Krishna's bimba, we are pratibimba. Pratibimba means we are his reflections. So why he calls like that? Actually, I was wondering, Madhva's whole philosophy begins with these two words, bimba and pratibimba. Of course, Jiva Goswami really doesn't agree with that to a large extent, because according to us, Jivatma is Shakti and God is Shaktiman. We believe in that philosophy. But at the same time, we have that difference. But at the same time, beneath the difference, there is also oneness. We believe in this philosophy, isn't it? Bheda. So wherever there is difference, we should always try to catch the underlying oneness, because there has to be oneness beneath the surface. So although we differ in that, we don't really believe Bimba and Pratibimba, but Krishna is the object and we are, Bimba means object and Pratibimba means we are this reflection. There are certain points which you have summarized, but at the same time, there is some oneness between that Bimba, Pratibimba and our Shakti Shaktiman. And in fact, Bhaktivedanta Swami brings this point, and I was thinking about that. And the whole purpose of that example, object and reflection, is this, what Srimad Bhagavatam says. If you decorate the image, if you decorate yourself, the image gets decorated. If you decorate the object, the reflection of the image gets decorated. Object is Krishna. Vedyam Vastavam Vastu Atra Shividam. He's a real Vastu. Or in Sanskrit it is called Bimba. And we are Pratibimba. We are the reflection of him, according to Madhva. And Bhagavatam explains, yes. So what should we do with this point? Just leave it? All philosophical points lead to a practical decision or a practical application. So what to do with this? Okay. So then what do you do? Bhagavatam says, okay, you decorate the object. Vedam vastavam vastu atra shivadam. Shivadam, auspiciousness. Or Shivadam means decoration. Satyam Shivam Sundaram. Shivam leads to Sundaram, or decoration, or beauty. You decorate Krishna with your devotion, with your sentiments of devotion, real sentiments. You decorate him, and he will decorate you by his sentiments. And his sentiments are rasa, or bliss. And you will get happiness. That's all. That's where Madhva takes that example. I mean to say, all examples are taken to help us to come to a platform of application. Of course, some philosophical points you might have to read now, but you'll not be able to apply it because they are at a higher level of consciousness. But some you can do. So that's why I was mentioning about this word rasa, and I was just saying that there are 5 kinds of rasa, and I was just mentioning this point here, that these kind of interactions between God and his devotees, they happen, and we must hear about them as the goal of our lives, so that we get a desire to actually attain that platform. We get a desire to get love and to interact with God. Why? To give him enjoyment face to face. That's what is our desire. That's what is the only desire of a devotee. Let me put it like that. Or Raghunath Goswami says, that's a hope of a devotee, or let us say, Raghunath Goswami says, a hope against hope. When will that day come? And I will meet Krishna face to face. Isn't it? And we sing actually daily in Tulsi Arati. Neyane heribo sada jugala rupa rasi. When will that day comes? And I will see Krishna from my very eyes, and then give him, and then decorate him by my sentiments. And then he will reward us by his happiness. And that's the whole point of rasa here. So that's the whole point. That's why we are discussing about this topic. It's not that we will become Sahajas by discussing about this topic. That's absurdness, because otherwise Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would not have discussed it. He would have hidden this thing. But he came to reveal this very fact, which we are avoiding. Why? Because we fear that we become Sahaja. But Bhaktisiddhanta says this is not the property of Sahajas. This topic is a property of pure devotees. In fact, this topic has to be discussed, but in the right spirit. That's the whole point. Sahajya also discussed this topic, we also discuss, but we discuss in the right spirit. And what's that spirit? We discuss in the spirit of service attitude. They don't discuss in the spirit of service attitude. That's the whole point there. And you see now the whole answer comes to that question. Why Krishna doesn't allow us to interact with him in any other rasa except Dasya rasa before love? Why? Because if we are not deeply rooted in service attitude, then what happens is, if you try to interact with him in any other rasa, you will start enjoying him rather than serving him. And the whole thing gets messed up. Because Krishna is the supreme enjoyer. And then you start doing offenses. And that's the problem with music. Somebody's phone is... So that's... So that's the whole point. That's the whole point of rasa there. Or that's the whole point of not giving us any other entrance to any other rasa except Dasya rasa before the platform of love of God. Because we have to be deeply rooted in service attitude. That's the difference. Sahajyas are not deeply rooted in service attitude. And that's the whole problem there. That's why Krishna says, okay, yeah, serve me. Enter the mysteries of Dasya rasa. Whole Christianity and Islam and any other theistic religion, even Madhva and Ramanuja, any other Vaishnava Sampradaya, they have again and again and again focused on Dasya rasa, on servitude. It is Mahaprabhu, Namo Mahavadanyaya, who has actually revealed higher platforms of rasa, but at the same time, his servants, our parampara, has always emphasized on this point. First, be deeply rooted in service attitude. And that is what is the essence of all of the sampradayas. And then go ahead. Or let us say, you focus on service attitude, and Krishna will focus on how to take you on higher platforms. That's all. And that is why you see other sampradayas, they didn't reveal all these things. Or even if they revealed it, they didn't really focus or discuss about all these things. Madhurya Rasa, forget it. And Sri Sampradaya Madhurya Rasa, Andal is there. Andal, she's in Madhurya Rasa. And in fact, so in fact, Namalvar, and also probably, what was his name? Annamai. They have also actually a little bit alluded to Madhurya Rasa. But at the same time, they've never focused on it. Neither on Vatsalya, neither on Sakhi. They're focused. I'm talking about focus. I'm not talking about they didn't talk about it. They're focused on service attitude. In their philosophical works, it's the service attitude. That's all. Why? Now it makes sense. Why Islam is talking about serving? Why Christianity only service attitude? Because it makes sense. Soul has to be deeply rooted in service attitude. Otherwise, it will start enjoying God. And that's the worst thing you can do in this life. If you start enjoying matter, which we are doing, that's not a big problem. But if you start enjoying God, that's a very big problem. The matter is dead and you're enjoying it. That's sin. But if you start to enjoy God, that's an offense. That's the worst thing you can do. That means you have made God your slave. And that is the first sentence of a philosophy. Ishvara Parama Krishna. He's a master. And you have put a crack, or you have fractured the first statement or the foundational statement of a philosophy by enjoying him. Now it breaks the whole philosophy. It breaks your whole devotion. It actually cracks your whole devotion. It's finished. That is why Krishna mercifully doesn't allow us to go beyond this Dasya Rasa before we attain love of God. And he also expects us to get deeply rooted in Dasya Rasa. And that is why again and again we talk about service. We talk about Vaishnava service. We talk about service of gurus. We talk about All Vaishnava Sampradayas, they are focusing on serving Vaishnavas because they know if once this foundation is made, automatically the building will come up. It doesn't take much time once foundation is laid because the plan is already there. Chaitanya was giving a plan here in CC. It's a plan, it's a map. You make a foundation and rest, building will just come in 1 month. That's all. Doesn't matter. If any project you start, just like we have started this project, Bhadrika Ashram. Actually, I'm sitting in Bhadrika Ashram now, and there's no electricity all around me because we don't have electricity here, and I think devotees were requesting me to give a video call, but there's no electricity, so you can't see me. You can just hear me. Even I can't see anything else except my phone. But the whole point I'm talking about is this project. The foundation of this project, to lay this foundation, that was the most difficult part. We had to discuss a lot, then finance, and then trust, and then so many things were going on. Once everything was, there was a plan already, and the foundation was laid, finance was there, manpower was there. Within 6-7 months, this project came up. It doesn't take much time, but if foundation was not there, you can do whatever you want. This project will never stand up. So you see the point. Out of these 5 rasas, Shan, Dasya, Sakhya, Vatsalya, Madhurya, Naam, Shindhar, Ras, Sabate, Pravalya. Although this verse says that conjugal love excels all others, Shindhar, Ras, Sabate, Pravalya, the whole point is actually Dasya Ras excels all others. Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya-lila, I think second chapter, Krishna Consciousness Swami proves this point that Dasya Rasa is higher than Madhurya Rasa. Now what do you say about that? But this verse says Madhurya Rasa is the highest. Now how do you understand this point? So how do you understand this point? Well, this is what is Rasa. The Rasa of contradictions. This is what produces rasas, by the way. Now I didn't tell you how rasa is produced. Of course, I told you when Krishna and devotee interacts in love, then rasa is produced. That's a technical definition of rasa, by the way. But at the same time, what actually energizes rasa, and that is done by contradiction. And that is why Krishna has contradictory qualities. He keeps contradictory qualities with him because he wants to energize that rasa once you attain that rasa. That is why he has contradictory qualities. He doesn't keep anything with him without any purpose, by the way. Now you might say Krishna has contradictory qualities. Why? Because he has. Because he's God. But yeah, one reason is that because he's complete, so he should have all qualities, even contradictory qualities. But the whole question is, if he wants, he cannot have it. He's God. He's complete. So by his will, he can say, well, I don't want contradictions. I don't like contradictions. Who likes contradictions? Because you can't understand the logic and then you get mad. So Krishna says, no, I will keep contradictions. Why? Not because I am God and I should be complete. That's not the first point in his mind. There's a selfish point from his perspective. The first point in his mind is because contradictions energizes rasa. It energizes rasa. You love somebody and you are in Madhurya Rasa with somebody, you have a friend or girlfriend, and if you tell her I love you, she'll be happy. But if you tell her I don't love you, she'll be angry, but inside she'll be in bliss. That's how it goes. But that's a contradiction, but it energizes Madhurya Rasa. So contradictions actually give rasa to rasa. That's how it goes. Contradictions is rasa squared. Let us put it like that in mathematical terms. It gives ecstasy to ecstasy. And that is what Bhagavatam says. Saram udaitam. Bhagavatam is talking about sar, the essence of essence. And essence is called sar or essence is called rasa because if you actually read the word sar, and if you reverse it, it becomes ras. If you go from the other end, sar, and if you go from the other end, from ra, it becomes ras. Or becomes ras. Ras means ras. So, rasam mudahitam, Bhagavatam says. Bhagavatam is not talking about rasa, Bhagavatam is talking about rasa of rasa. And that's the whole point of contradiction. It's actually, Mahaprabhu raises this point, and Mark raises this point, Vallabh raises this point. And that's the whole point of devotion. It's all about contradictions. And that is where Upanishad says, Achinte khalu e bhava. This Krishna you cannot really grasp by your logic. Fully, you can't do that because after a certain limit, it becomes contradictory. And contradictions are not to be understood. Contradictions have to be first tasted. You should relish contradictions. And once you start relishing them, solutions will come. The solutions are there for contradiction. It's not that harmonization is not. The Prabhupada says in one of his purport, Krishna's contradictory qualities, but there's the answer for that. You can understand it. But at the same time, some contradictions you cannot understand. It's not possible. So here is a contradiction. Madhurya Rasa is said to be the highest. At the same time, in Charitamrita, Madhya-lila, I think second, third chapter, Krishna Consciousness says Dasya is highest, and he proves it. And he gives the example of Nand Baba, Yashodhana, when actually Uddhav comes to meet them. And also when Nand Baba, and also when Rishis meet Vasudev in Kurukshetra. So what Nand Baba prays, what Vasudev prays? They says, yes, Krishna is the son, but at the same time, wherever he is, let him be happy, because we know we are his servants, and just grant us this wish, let us serve him birth after birth. Nand Baba Yashodhama they are saying. And Krishna Goswami quotes from Bhagavatam. And Vasudev says the same thing to Rishi Munis. So then Krishna Consciousness says, then what's higher, Sakya or Dasya? Dasya. Ultimately they are saying, okay, let Krishna be anywhere. You want to serve him. Okay, what about gopis? Gopis also speak in the terms of Dasya. They say, well, when Krishna goes to forest, they say, let his lotus feet be on our heads. And they are actually thinking of his lotus feet. And then they are saying, let us be, in Gopi Geet they say, please Krishna, our only request is, let us become your maid servants birth after birth after birth. They are again talking about Dasya. All these, so Krishna Consciousness Dasya Rasa highest. So how do you understand this? Well, the only way to understand this is, yes, Madhurya Rasa is the highest. Okay? But because the foundation of Madhurya is Dasya, that is why Dasya Rasa is higher than Madhurya. So if you see the building, the highest story, so if that building is 4-storied, which is the highest story? 4th story. Okay? But then the whole point is, what is the most important thing in that building? Foundation. So what is most important? What is the highest then? 4th story or foundation? Well, from the perspective of importance and building, foundation is the highest point of that building, because that's a fulcrum. At the same time, 4th story is the highest if you really talk about location. But if you talk about importance, foundation is the highest, isn't it? So if you talk about location, Madhurya Rasa is the highest. But if you talk about foundation, Dasya Rasa is the highest, the most important. So that's how we solve this contradiction. Then you might ask, okay, so which rasa do we have to aim for? Shant or Madhurya? Well, before love of God, Dasya Madhurya, before love of God, it's always Dasya. Yeah. After love of God, what you should aim for? Well, still aim for Dasya. Keep on discussing about Madhurya and other rasas. Develop a desire to attain them. And let Krishna decide which rasa he wants to give. Because we are not the choosers. He chooses and awards us. That's the whole understanding of Bhakti Siddhanta, Bhakti Vinod and Srila Prabhupada Gaudiya Vaishnava understanding, which we cannot understand without these 3 people. Only from Goswami's books. It is very difficult to get this point out. So this is the whole verse here. Sabate pravale, and then it comes Shantra se Shantrati preme paryant hoy Dasya rati rag paryant kramete bhadai. So then Krishna Swami says, okay, there is a difference between these rasas, Shant, Dasya, Sakhe, Vatsalya, Madhurya. Shant rasa has Shantrati. Now Shantrati means, Shanti means in our Sanskrit literature, the scripture, Shanti doesn't mean only peace. Shanti means actually no material desires. And because of that you have peace. It's not a peace where there is no noise. That's not the whole point. It's a peace where there's no material desires, where there's no noise of material desires in your mind. That is what you get that. So Shantrasi have Shantras is where there's no material desires. Dasya Ras is actually you have a rag, attachment, spontaneous attachment to serve him, which is not there in Shantras. There is no service attitude. And rocks and all these, they have Shantrasa. Some people say there is no Shantrasa in spiritual world because you don't have, of course, you don't have service attitude there than what you're doing in spiritual world. Or you might have service attitude, but you don't have it. So you can't really act upon that service attitude because you're a stone and you're a sand. You can't move. So as an attitude without action, it doesn't really make any sense. You see the point? Then it looks, I have a lot of attitude to serve you, but I don't serve you. Then it seems crazy. But some people say Shantras is not there because it doesn't make sense. Prabhupada Swami says yes, it is there, but then it's not really important for spiritual world, but it's important for us because first Prabhupada says first a devotee enters Shantrasa before entering into Dasya Rasa. First you have to understand. First you have to get free of all material desires. Of course, that will happen by devotion also. Of course, our aim is Dasya Rasa, but in the process of attaining Dasya Rasa, first we will attain Shantrasa. That's how it goes. And then we get Dasya Rasa. Dasya Rasa is one thing additional to Shantrasa. Shantrasa has no material desires. Dasya Rasa has no material desires. Also, it has Rag. Rag means spontaneous attachment to serve. And Sakhe Rasa has one more thing. No material desires, Raga, that is service, attachment service, and Sakhe Vatsalya Rati by Anurag Siva. And then it also has what can we say? Vatsalya Ras also has a sentiment of protection, which is not there in Sakhe Ras as it is there, but it is not so developed. But in Vatsalya Ras there is a sentiment of protection, not just spontaneous sentiment to serve him like Dasya, but also spontaneous sentiment to protect him. That's Vatsalya, parents. That's an addition. And then when you go to friendship Sakhe, you have an additional sentiment there, not just sentiment to actually serve him or protect him, but in Sakhe there is also a sentiment to actually, how can we say, actually play with him. That's the whole point. And technical I just forgot, but to actually play with him as equals. That's the whole point. As equals. That's the additional thing. So Dasya Rasa has spontaneous sentiment to serve. Vatsalya has one more thing besides that, spontaneous sentiment to protect. But Sakhe has a spontaneous sentiment to play as equals. And Madhurya has one more. It has all those, but Madhurya has a spontaneous sentiment to actually surrender your whole body to Krishna. That's how it goes. That's Madhurya. So that's the highest from the perspective of, not from the perspective of foundation, but from the perspective of location. It's the highest from the perspective of location. because only in Madhurya Rasa, all rasas are included. All sentiments are included. That's why it's the highest. And that's what goes, Premera Mahima, Paryan Premera Mahima. So that's how this Bhaktivedanta is talking about all these things. Little complex, Bhaktivedanta Prabhupada as usual. But I explained to you how it goes. Prabhupada says, you see, fraternal affection to counter love, to spontaneous attachment, to subordinate attachment. You can see this is interesting. You can read this purport, little complex, and Prabhupada uses attachment, sub-attachment. Actually, these words are in English. But if you read in Sanskrit, then you will understand, because Sanskrit, at this level, you need Sanskrit words, because at this level, to translate into English, it loses all the essence. Like Prabhupada says, love, attachment, sub-attachment. What is sub-attachment? We have to speculate. But you need Sanskrit words for this, to really understand this. Like prem, sneh, pranay. The difference between pranay and sneh and prem, but all are translated as love. Or you can translate prem as love, sneh as loving attachment, and pranay as loving subordination. But you lose whole sense of that word, isn't it? So anyway, the whole point is, I just talked about all these things. I'd like to stop here. Any questions or any comments? I'm done. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki jai.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you so much for the very, very beautiful class and very enlightening class. Few things you said about foundation of the we have to keep our foundation strong with Dasya Rasa, and then contradictions should actually be tasted. I really like those things that you said. So I have a few questions, and this is about the terminology of raga and rati. How do we differentiate the two? Because you were talking about rasa and raga. So how do we differentiate between raga and rati?
Well, raga, see, the whole point is raga, it technically means affection. Technically, if you talk about it, raga means actually color. And color means affection, isn't it? Like red color or blue, it creates affection in us. So raga means affection, the path of affection. That's a pushti mark, raga. And rati means not just affection, but there's affection, but then there's a whole sentiment of attachment. And besides that, there's a sentiment to be exploited by that person. So Madhurya Rasa is rati, because gopis want that Krishna should actually flirt with them. Let me put it like that. Exploit Madhurya Rasa. But of course, I mean to say Keshav Anand Baba or his friends, Sakhiras, they don't want that Krishna should flirt with them. That's complete nonsense. So they have raga, but they don't have rati. Rati is only found in Madhurya Rasa, because that complete sentiment of surrender and slave and exploitation, that is there in Madhurya Rasa. So rati is technically always associated with Madhurya Rasa, and so that's why we say Madhurya Rati, isn't it? Or we say Madhur Rati. But we don't say Sakhe Rati. We don't say like that. Vatsalya Rati. We say Vatsalya Rag, Sakhe Rag, or Ras. But Madhurya Ras, we have this Rati. Or we say Rati Keli. Rati Keli means the Ras dance with gopis. So we don't say Krishna is doing Rati Keli with his parents or with his friends or with his servants. We never say like that. So Rati is basically where there is a conjugal sentiment. Or conjugal sentiment means where there is a sentiment that Krishna should exploit me. And that is the highest sentiment of the world. And that's what Mahaprabhu says, Ashli Sheva Padratam Pinastunam. And that gopis have that sentiment. We are follower of gopis. We have the same sentiment, but in a different capacity. And now we are follower of gopis, and our target is Madhurya Rasa. But now, of course, we have to focus on Dasya Rasa. And who is Madhurya Rasa? So how to actually proceed from Dasya to Madhya-lila? Now that's the whole question. Of course, you need love for that. But then you should be doing something, isn't it? Now you should have love. Now you're following devotion. But what extra thing should I do to actually reach to that love where I can interact with Krishna and Madhya Rasa, not in any other rasa? So what special thing I have to do? So for that you have to understand what is so special in Madhya Rasa. What is Madhya Rati? The whole question of Madhya Rati is subordinate attachment. Prabhupada uses that word, subordinate attachment. Now that word, subordinate attachment, actually the whole essence in that, so if you read Sanskrit word for that, in technically, one of the Sanskrit words is rati for that, subordinate attachment, and that carries the whole sentiment of Krishna should exploit me. So if we can add that sentiment in our life at our level, okay, Krishna, please exploit me. Yeah, I'm ready. Do as you like with me. And you see, exploitation means he will use you, but he will not reward you. And if we can develop this sentiment and keep on serving him without any expectation of reward, that's the whole point. In our language, that's translated like that. But if we can keep on doing that, in spite of exploitation, means Krishna might give you troubles, but you'll enjoy those troubles, isn't it? That exploitation.
Mm.
So when you enjoy troubles given by Krishna, then this means you have added that element of rati, and then now you are on the path to actually from Dasya to Madhya, from Dasya to love of God, to actually real Dasya ras, and then Madhya ras, and then you have Gopi Bhav. That's how it goes. That's why we're trying to understand all these things, to understand the difference, realize the difference, realize the similarity, and what we can practice in our lives. Whatever is the similarity between all rasas, that you can practice now. Whatever is the difference, that you have to put it as a goal or aim, and then try to actually imbibe that in your life according to your capacity, wherever you are, and then you have to go forward. Otherwise, we'll miss the target. That's how it goes.
Yeah, thank you so much. That was very, very nice. Prabhuji, I don't know if this is a stupid question, but I just was trying to understand when the Ragatmika devotee or Raganuga Bhakta, who's trying to follow the footsteps of the Ragatmika Bhakti, we see that the stress is more on the aspect of Raga rather than the aspect of Rasa. Like how we were explaining, Rasa is the relation, is also the love from Krishna's side, right? So can you?
Yeah, you're right. I mean, because we are sadhakas, and for us, rasa word has no meaning for us now. So there is a short-term goal, long-term goal.
Okay.
So why this word is used, raganuka, ragatmika, to make us remember that now your goal is raga. It's not rasa. It's not even. So that's why this word is used like that here, to help us remember what's our short-term goal.
Very nice. Thank you, Prabhu. The other thing, I was just curious. So it's Sridham, right? Who's the brother of Radharani, or is it Subal?
No, actually you're right. It is Sridham. But at the same time, Subal and Sridham are friends. They are friends.
Okay. Yeah. So you were talking about...
Yeah, you're right. Sridham, you're right. But at the same time, actually Sridham and Subal, they resemble a lot. So although Sridham is brother of Radharani, we know that, and Radharani is also sister, Anang Manjari. But at the same time, so because Subal is, Radharani considers Subal as almost like her brother, isn't it? Because they are like my intimate friends. So although he's not a real brother, but when you talk about Subal, automatically your mind starts working in that capacity. He's a brother of Radha.
Nice.
Because she considers, and Subal also considers Radha as a sister. There's almost like a real sister. And they resemble a lot, all of them. And that's how it goes. Of course, their dress is different. That's how you can recognize them. But the features are very similar.
Very nice. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Thank you for patiently answering the questions. Anyone else has any questions or realizations? They can go ahead.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dhamma Pranam. I will be teaching the Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Very nice class, Prabhuji. I really like some of the realizations that you had, especially that the Dasya, how that should be our goal in Krishna consciousness. If that's not the one, and if we try to end something different, then we might actually end up trying to enjoy Krishna, and that is obviously going to be one of the biggest offenses. One question I had regarding Shantaras, when you mentioned that in Shantaras everything is non-living, but I thought like in the Shantaras, in the spiritual world, those even the stones, even the milk that is boiling in the Krishna pastime, that has feelings, right? That's the people like when the milk boils, it's.
Oh, actually, okay. Now I understand. Yes. So actually, if I said non-living, I didn't mean that they are non-living. So I meant to say because we are living this material world. So actually, I use a wrong word because it's anyway they are not non-living. But the whole point is, I mean, this stone and milk, and I mean to say, I was saying whatever is non-living here, they are there, but they have a rasa, shant rasa. So I don't know how to say that. They are living, but they're a stone. But then friends are also living. So how to say what is stone? Or maybe dead matter, but there's no dead matter. So, well, you can say things which are immobile. That's a good thing. Things which are immobile in spiritual world, they are in shant rasa. And that might also include trees. So trees are living in this material world, so then it will make a right word. But at the same time, sometimes Radharani becomes unconscious, she's immobile. But then she's not in shant rasa. So let us say things which are really immobile, but then how do you use this word really in spiritual world? Then is there any usually immobile something? So you see the point, what word you use for that, it's very difficult to use the word, what things are in Shantarasa. It's very difficult, because every word which you use, there are certain lacunas there, because we're talking about Shantarasa. So in general, we say like that, which are non-moving or immobile, or which are non-living things, which appear non-living in spiritual world. Okay, let's say like that. Which appear non-living in spiritual world, they have Shantarasa. But they're not about trees. Trees appear living to us. Then how do you include that in the definition? It's a little tricky, you see the point. So, yeah. But if that's the problem, if that's the question, they're living? Yes, they're living. We all understand that. And you're right. But then which word to use, I'm pretty confused. In fact, scriptures are confused about that. That's why Shantarasa is pretty confusing when you come to define it. Which word to use, because no word is appropriate for Shantarasa. That's how it goes.
Okay, Prabhuji, thank you so much. And anybody else have any questions before we wind up? Hare Krishna.
I mean, sorry, this is not related to the class, but when are you coming to US Prabhu this year? This is Gopal Prabhu's wife from US. So sorry.
Okay. Yeah, Hare Krishna. You're there. Okay. So I'll be coming in August and something like that, or maybe August beginning something. And definitely I'm coming to Houston, and I will. So I'm just making my itinerary, and of course we'll be there.
Sure, Prabhu. Gopal Prabhu is with me too, listening, and he was very curious. That's why I asked.
Yeah. Okay. Gopal Prabhu, accept my
Sorry for the interest.
Yeah.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Looking forward to having classes.
Yeah, is there anybody else who wants to ask questions?
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Yes, I do have a couple of things. One is...
You are there, huh? You are there on this call also.
Yeah. Just to two quick things. One is when you were saying that...
Wait. First, I have a question for you. What's your name, by the way? I'm curious about that.
Oh, on this call, I'm known as Gaurangi.
On the call, you are known as Gaurangi. And
Yeah.
Otherwise, what's your name?
Gail.
What's that?
Otherwise, my name is Gail.
Oh, Gail.
Yeah. Mine's with Gail. No, with a G.
Okay, yeah, it's...
Yeah, when you were saying that, Krishna's friends, they all resemble each other very much.
Mm-hmm.
But we are able, I couldn't hear the words when you said, even though they resemble each other so much, we can tell them apart by what? How is it that we can distinguish them?
By dress.
Oh, okay. Like maybe different colored dhotis or something like that, right?
Right.
Okay. And my other question is, can you explain again the difference between enjoying Krishna, which is an offense, and enjoying, like, say, his material energy? What does it mean to enjoy Krishna?
Well, enjoying material energy, that's a sin. Why it's a sin? Because if you try to enjoy material energy, then it harms your soul, and eventually, because it stops you from going back to home. Why? Because it absorbs your mind in enjoying mode, in matter, because it absorbs your mind in that matter. So you'll not be able to focus on God. And it's a sin because it harms others also. Because when you start enjoying material energy, then you start exploiting it and using it for your own benefit. And then in the process, you start harming other people. So it's a sin. Now, enjoying God, that's an offense because the whole point of this material world is to help you to get free of this disease of enjoyment. And now, Krishna made this material world so that you get free of disease of enjoyment, so that you don't fall into sin, and then you turn back to Him. But now what you do is, what we do is, we start enjoying God. Now you see the point he made. So you see the point, if you have cancer, and if suppose somebody is a cancer...
No, but I'm saying, I don't know what it means when you say to enjoy God. What does that look like, enjoying God? We all understand what it means to enjoy matter, right?
Okay, to enjoy God means to actually wish that your desires, that God will fulfill your desires. That, in one line, is meaning of enjoying God.
Oh, to see Him as our order supplier, basically.
Is that order supplier? Now, that is one understanding of to enjoy God. That you can understand. Order supplier. Okay, Prabhupada explains. But when you go on higher levels, then you understand that enjoying God also means something else. I mean to say it goes a little deeper. So, okay, one level of understanding of enjoying God is order supply. Okay, fine, good. When you go a little deeper, then you will understand one level of enjoying God is to enjoy His blessings. Now, He blesses you with, for example, peace of mind, and then you start enjoying it. So in other words, you start thinking, well, I got this peace of mind, and then you get lost in that peace of mind, and you give less importance to Krishna, and you forget Him, or you don't forget Him. I mean to say, you focus less on Him and more on peace, because you're more absorbed in that blessing, and you start reveling and becoming happy in that blessings, and your whole focus on service of Krishna reduces, and that also means enjoying His blessings. You see. So that's another level of enjoying. And if you go a little more deeper, then at one level, enjoying God means actually trying to develop a relationship with Him by your own choice. That's the whole point. We now at that level, you are doing a spiritual activity. You are serving Him. You want to develop a relationship with Him, but you have your own choice there. You have not actually let me say killed yourself, killed all your desires. So wherever there is a personal choice, enjoying God means serving Him by your personal choice. And
doing what I want to do for Him.
Yeah. So
instead of following an authority, instead I follow my own whim about how to serve.
Yeah, like that. Your own whim to serve Him. Now, that service, that's spiritual activity, but then that also means enjoying God. So, like that. And then you can go on and on and on. The more we do devotion, the more actually it gets revealed how enjoy God. It becomes more subtle.
You said, some noise came on the line, so I didn't hear the last. You said the more we. Can you repeat?
So I said the more we advance in devotion, the more we will see at subtle platforms how we can enjoy God. The definition will go more deeper and deeper, and more layers will be revealed. And the more it is revealed, the more we can work on and get rid of it.
Okay. Actually, and this last thing, maybe want to ask this one last thing. When we do whatever we like to do for Krishna, instead of, let's say, following some authority, we do what is pleasing to our mind in devotional service. Can that be called mixed devotional service?
Of course.
Or no? Yeah.
Oh no. Of course, I mean to say, if we are doing something that is pleasing to us, then definitely it is a mixed devotion.
Yeah, because I mean the part that's devotion is mixed. It's a mix of material desire and devotional service. The devotional service part is the part that there's Krishna subject matter in there, but the part that's your own desire is that you're doing whatever you want, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Hare Krishna. So.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Maybe I could follow up on that point. So is it so when we are enjoying kirtan or bhajan or listening to your class, for example, is that also enjoying?
Okay, I understand. You see the point. It's a good question, by the way. Now the whole point is, I was finding answer to this question for many years. One of the Bhaktivedanta couples and he says, he's raised the same point. We enjoy kirtan sometimes. We naturally feel enjoyment and to hearing classes or maybe traveling. Bhakti Thakur gives that point. When you preach, like I'm a preacher, I'll go to US, Europe. It's nice to travel, isn't it? So, but then that's enjoyment. But then what do you do? That will automatically come. You can't just sit in kirtan and be dead there and I'll not enjoy. That doesn't happen. So the whole point is, whether you're enjoying or not enjoying, that is defined by your goal. What you actually want. Now, by hearing class or in Kirtans, you're enjoying, but the whole question is, what do you want to do with this enjoyment? That's the whole question. If you want to keep that enjoyment with yourself, now, so you see the whole point. Now there's a whole difference. If you sit in Kirtans, and if you attend classes, and if I'm going for preaching to US, Canada, with the aim that I will enjoy, that's wrong. That's wrong. My aim is to please Krishna. Otherwise, I'll be stuck up in that mode of enjoyment. But in the process of serving Krishna, I will get enjoyment or happiness. Because the process is enjoyable, isn't it? So, what to do with that enjoyment? Now, what to do with that? So, what do you do? So now, now what do you do? Now you return it back to Krishna, that enjoyment. How do you do that? Krishna, you gave me enjoyment, although I didn't want. My purpose was to serve you. Now, I will give you double enjoyment. I will return this enjoyment to you in form of service. And then he will give you more enjoyment, and then you return that enjoyment in form of service. Don't keep it with yourself. So the point of not keeping that enjoyment within ourselves is, okay, in Kirtans you feel enjoyment. You sat in Kirtans not to enjoy. If you sat in Kirtans to enjoy, then there's a problem. You attended Kirtans to actually serve, to give enjoyment to Krishna. Krishna will become so pleased if I attend Kirtans. Now when you're sitting, when there's a Kirtan, nice tune music, naturally you feel enjoyment. So what do? You just stop that enjoyment? No. That is by blessings of Krishna. Krishna is giving enjoyment, his blessings, so you receive it. You can't stop it. If you stop it, that's an offense. Again, you can't say, I don't want blessings. You can't say no to king, isn't it? You can't say no to king. He's a king of kings. He'll give you enjoyment, okay, you accept. And his soul will get satisfied. But then you say to Krishna, Krishna, it was so nice. You gave enjoyment to me in spite of the fact I didn't ask you. That's your nature. Now I will give you enjoyment. I will return it back. Double enjoyment in the form of service. So the enjoyment which we experience in devotional life, we have to return to Krishna in form of enthusiastic service by doubling your service, quantity, or doubling your enthusiasm in service. Maybe just not quantity, but enthusiasm in your service. And then you're not enjoying the enjoyment. Then you're serving. That's how it goes. Is it clear?
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Okay, so I think it's time to sleep.
Anybody else having any questions? Okay, Prabhuji. Thank you very much, Prabhuji, for your very, very enlightening class today. Very, very grateful to you. We look forward to your association again in the future. If not in questions, we will just pay our obeisances to all the assembled devotees. Vancha kalpa tarubhyascha kripa sindhu bhayevcha patitanam pavinebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah.
Hare Krishna.
Chaitanya Chaitanya ki jai.